There's a new fintech disruptor in town called Swoop, a finance platform that's helping SMEs access alternative funders, save money and access grants, otherwise known as free money. And who doesn't want that? Since the arrival this year of open banking, businesses have had more choice, but they aren't always easy or convenient to find. Swoop is going to change all that and then some. Joining us today is the newly appointed CEO of Swoop, Tim Brown. Welcome, Tim.
Thank you, Angela. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. This is really exciting because I think we've been waiting a long time for a platform like Swoop, and so far the UK and Ireland have had the privilege.
That's correct, and we're very excited about bringing the platform here to Australia, especially in these current times where more than ever it's important that a small business has one place to go to find everything that they need for their business in the sense of financial or funding.
So just to impress the audience here with the kind of numbers that you guys have been looking at, in terms of global customers, 53,000 or well over 53,000, and that's real time. So if anyone's watching this interview, that will have changed and increased. 225 plus million of completed funding and well over 15, or I'm sure it's probably closer to 16 million savings for businesses. And that, in essence, besides being an integrated hub where people can access, or SMEs can access, lots of different types of services, they can also save a hell of a lot of money as well.
That's correct. Yeah, look, the artificial intelligence that's built in behind the platform looks at the small business's financial data and looks for opportunities to present back to that small business areas where they can save money.
So it learns, the platform learns.
It does. The more data it gets, the better the information, and obviously the better the outcome in the sense of the recommendations we come back with.
So if we look at the finance aspect to start with, we've got loans. They can access more equity or use their equity, commercial mortgages, international money transfers. They can save on utilities. And the one that I couldn't help clicking on repeatedly was save with perks. But
yes.
This isn't unusual to have all of this together in one platform.
It is. And to the best of my knowledge, it's the only platform in Australia that does all of that. It's almost like a one-stop shop. And some of our biggest users actually are accountants. And for that reason alone is that they don't have to go and search several websites to get the same information that's presented on our platform.
Now, you have you were formerly CEO of the Mortgagors Association?
Yeah, I was chairman of the Mortgage Industry Association, and I was CEO of Bow Financial.
And so from that background. And that background, you understood that there is, and coming into Swoop, you know that there's a whole other type of small business customer who would have access or you want to use that platform for their own clients.
Correct. Yeah. So mortgage brokers, obviously accountants, and generally small businesses themselves would use the platform to help better facilitate outcomes for their clients or the client themselves. One of the things we've found in the UK is that some of our clients come on late at night. Obviously, they've come home from a long day. They sit down, have dinner, start to look at their bills, and then come onto the platform. And we have people online all the time that are willing to chat to you at any time of night. So the great thing about being in the UK and Australia now is that we've got a 24/7 response time.
And that's the other thing to highlight is that it's not just a tech platform and that you have these services available online 24/7 for the customer that might be accessing it, but there are real people behind this as well.
Correct, yeah, and with the necessary experience to help guide the client or the advisor through the platform or through any product selection that they wanted to ask questions about.
Tim, when you say that there's the AI that's behind this and the algorithms and how it learns and matches and gives people choices, what information are people putting in and how are they putting that information in order for the system to learn and recommend?
Yeah, look, and I want to point out before we start that conversation that this platform is compliant with open banking in the UK and in Australia. So data security is very key to us. No data that's inputted in Australia leaves Australia. It stays within the Amazon warehouse here. and it's protected with encrypted security. So the important thing for us to get the best outcome for the client is to get a load down of their data, and which is quite easy to do through downloading your Xero or MYOB or Quickbooks or whatever accounting software you use, and also allowing us to have a look at your transactional data through your banking. Through that, we can quickly identify where we can make savings, whether that be in loans or utilities, insurance, foreign exchange. And we've got numbers of examples of once we've done that we can come back and not just present one product or two products, sometimes up to 4 or 5 different products in different categories in savings.
Because you're not just offering one type of product from one firm. That's the whole beauty of this, is it's almost custom making solutions for the customer. Yeah,
we've currently got 40 funders on the Australian platform with another 30 that we're currently uploading. And each of those are competitive in their own niche or specialty. And then, of course, we've got the normal banks, regional banks, international banks, and major banks, which will be coming onto the platform.
Is that what you meant when we've previously had a chat? The alternative funders, we just wanted to highlight that. Is that what you meant, that outside of the big four and other types of banks, the rurals and the state, there were other alternatives for people to access funding?
Yeah, look, with the boom in banking, especially the digital banks, there are a lot more players now in that market, which makes it a lot more competitive. And the problem is that the major banks have been dominant in this space for a long time, but there are a number of competitors now, non-bank lenders, as they call them, a bit like the Aussie home loans in the residential space. We now have the judos in the commercial space, which are well known now in the Australian market. And there are other lenders that are now playing in those spaces around invoice financing, cash flow lending without security, which is a big piece, especially for startups who have got a sudden burst in revenue and need cash to manage resources and expenses.
So that's why it's great that there is a platform where either the accountant, as you say, that a lot of accountants are accessing Swoop, whether the accountant can put in that information for their client or the client can do it themselves. As you said, coming home late at night when you've got nothing else to do but do the rest of your paperwork as a small business owner, and you suddenly get very hot-tempered over your utility bills and think there must be somewhere cheaper, you can actually do that on Swoop.
Correct. Yeah, and the process is reasonably simple to follow. And as I said, if you get stuck anywhere, there's someone always ready to be online to help you through it.
Just before we talk about the grants as well, and you did bring it up, but I just want to highlight it, the bank grade security that you have, how it's protected. You're also regulated by the account information services provider. I just want to highlight that again because there is obviously always a question mark these days with any work that you do online.
Yeah, so to have an open banking licence in Australia, where you can directly go and access the information from the banks themselves, you need to have the highest level of security that has to be passed by the Australian government. So they don't hand out those licences willy-nilly. To date, there's only been 5 issued in Australia that I'm aware of. We're in the process of getting ours. We've already got it in the UK based on the same platform. And then on top of that, we also have a credit licence, which again is issued by the Australian government, and you have to go through. You have to have a certain level of experience and senior knowledge that sits behind the platform to qualify for that licence.
Now, one area of Swoop that you're very proud of is the grants, which is very unusual to have grants associated with a fintech platform, even if it is a disruptor. So take us through how the grants part of the platform works.
Yeah, there's 1,500 grants in Australia, both at a federal, state and council level. And for many small businesses, that to disseminate through all of that information to find out what grants they qualify for would be extremely time consuming. And then add to that, the application for grants is quite detailed and thorough, and they require an awful lot of financial information that we can move from the platform into the grant application, which makes it much simpler. Add to that, we've got grant writers that specialise in just writing up grants all day, every day for governments at different levels. And the great thing for small businesses is they can come to one platform, they can find out which grants they qualify for, and we'll do that, at a reasonable cost for them to qualify. And obviously, the benefit of getting the grant then outweighs any upfront cost, which is, as I said, a small amount compared to probably what they would pay normally.
That's right. And as you said, there's over 1,500, and probably daily that changes too in Australia, of grants that are available at different levels, local, state and federal. And essentially it is almost free money for small businesses to access and get them through different times, whether it's innovation or changing something or being able to upgrade something within their business. And sometimes they're not aware of what's going on, but to have it around a platform where they can not just identify a grant, but also complete a grant with the help of a third party again, it's a one-stop shop.
Yeah, and there's some good examples through COVID where the government came out with special grants around retooling the business so that they could move to other products. And those sort of grants are readily available to most small businesses. And as I said, we can tell you whether you qualify or not very quickly.
Very quickly, okay. And what's the next step for Swoop as it moves out of the new phase?
Yeah, well, we look to launch the platform in its full proprietary in the first week of February. We'll have all of the funders in place. We'll have all of the grants. We'll have all of the equity. And that's another piece that we probably skipped over briefly, was that we also can bring investors to you when your business wants to scale. Sometimes you prefer not to do it by debt. You prefer to bring someone in that you can trust. We've got a list of VCs, venture capitalists, angel investors, and family offices that are keen to invest in small businesses. And already in the platform's current state, we've been able to help a couple of small businesses. One a financial planning business for about 1.2 million who wanted to invest in a new software system.
That's really, that's also unusual to have all of that in one platform, to be able to find VCs or angel investors, alternative funding, if you will, in a whole other alternative way.
Correct. And it costs them nothing up front for us to find those. It's only once we find you the investor that there is a small percentage of commission that we take for raising that capital for you.
Right, so that we look forward to that. And next time we hope to get you back in studio.
Yes, I look forward to that. Hopefully we'll all be COVID-free next year.
That's right, fingers crossed as it is. Otherwise, we can always pivot ourselves. Thank you so much for joining us today, Tim. If you haven't already subscribed to SME TV, it's just a button and it's just a bell. To the Piedmont Studio, thank you for making us look and sound good. To the SMEA Association, thank you for your great work that you do for the SME community throughout Australia. If you have any comments, stories or tips, you can send them straight through to me, news@smea.org.au, and we're across all the socials. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity.
Not at all.